The best cases in bioethics are where people genuinely disagree about a case. I coach a bioethics bowl team and I help write some of the cases. Let me tell you, the ones that people really love the most, the coaches, the judges, and students, the one when there's a really significant disagreement. And the case we're talking about today, Dr. Anna Powell at Memorial Hospital after Hurricane Katrina, is one of those cases. I'm Gregory Pence. This is Great Stories in Bioethics, my personal YouTube channel where I'm always speaking for myself. And where each Tuesday at 4 p.m., I publish a new story that's resonated with me in my 50 years of career in bioethics. Let's set the context for this story. And the context is really important, as we'll see, because there's the context of daily ethics, I call quotidian ethics. There's the context of cases we normally talk about in bioethics, like assisted dying or abortion. And then there's the once in a million extraordinary cases, like after catastrophes, which is the kind of case we're talking about today. People disagree a lot about the context and whether that's relevant to the case. We'll see how that brings in some issues in ethical theory. What is the context of this case? Well, if you've ever been to New Orleans, you'll realize that the city was actually at the bottom of a bowl, and the mighty Mississippi, which is a mile wide, swirls around on top of it, and it's held back by these levees. And it's a scary thing during a flood to see that amount of water swirling right up above the city. So Memorial Hospital was down in the bowl, and it actually survived the hurricane. But afterwards, one of the levees broke and water swirled into the bottom of the bowl and flooded everything around the Superdome and Memorial Hospital. People came to the Superdome and to Memorial Hospital as a refuge. They brought their dogs, invalids in wheelchairs. And over the next few days, a lot of triage was invoked. A lot of people were evacuated, especially the most vulnerable. A lot of the doctors and nurses also left. 9 days later, 9 people were dead at the top floor, run by a private group called Life Care. And the Attorney General later convened a special grand jury to charge Dr. Anna Powell, who was in charge, with second-degree murder. He also charged 2 nurses, but he gave them immunity for testifying against Dr. Powell. It's really important to emphasize the context of what she faced. Most people left to be with their families, just because they didn't want to deal with people with guns, people with schizophrenia, not on their medicine. People are addicted, looking for all kinds of drugs. There's no air conditioning. It's over 100 degrees. There's insects swarming around, mosquitoes. The toilets are overflowing. There's no plumbing. There's no running water. There's no cell phones. It's a Hobbesian state of nature. And it gets worse and worse and worse every day. People are being evacuated by helicopter. On the very top floor, there's a very narrow staircase up to the helipad. And at the very end, after a few days, there's only a few nurses left, and Dr. Powell, they're physically exhausted. One of the patients is Emmett Everett, who weighs about 350 pounds. He's competent. He doesn't want to die, which is really important ethically. They realize they cannot physically lift him up to the helipad, and no one's going to help them. And they have to leave because things are getting life-threatening with various vandals, and they're just physically about ready to collapse. At this point, Dr. Powell asked Brian King, our pharmacist, for vials of morphine and Versed. He later testified that he left because, quote, "I would rather be charged with abandoning dying patients than helping them die." And that is the key ethical question here. And it goes back to a book that was big when I was an undergraduate called Situation Ethics. It was written by a former priest turned bioethicist named Joseph Fletcher at the University of Virginia, not John Fletcher, who was also a bioethicist at the University of Virginia. But Joseph Fletcher argued that a utilitarian way that in extraordinary contexts, normal rules don't hold, and there can be exceptions. In this case, was it really bad for Dr. Powell to euthanize Emmett Everett? At her trial, she used the doctrine of double effect to say she gave these injections to relieve pain, not intending to kill them. Maybe the jury bought that, but let's just suppose she did intend to kill them. Is that really worse than just abandoning them? They're sweating, they're probably in their own feces and urine, they're starving, they're miserable. And she doesn't know that the next day, Life Care is sending a helicopter. There's no way of communicating, knowing this. It's like in that famous movie of Tyrone Power, where he shoves the people away from the lifeboat so some of them can live, and the next day, miraculously, a ship appears. Well, 99 times out of 100, a ship or a helicopter does not appear. And you have to make the decision based on what you know. Did she do the wrong thing? I'm not so sure. The grand jury refused to indict her. They may have bought the idea of the doctrine of double effect. There's also a toxicologist who testified that after a week, the toxicologist for the state had testified that there was a very high level of versed and morphine in the cadavers, that after the decay of the bodies, these results were completely inaccurate. So nothing could be determined from these tests. So the grand jury may have bought this, but they may have just objected to the whole politicization of the thing. And finally, they may have thought, if we indict Dr. Powell for second-degree murder, what message does that send to future doctors and nurses when a future hurricane occurs and there's another hurricane Memorial Hospital? Is everybody just going to leave the patients because you might get stuck with making a hard decision? I think I could stand by Dr. Powell as an eyewitness and her decision, because she was in an extreme way, and she had the guts to stay. A lot of people did not think that the Attorney General had made the right decision charging her. Later, the state agreed to pay all her legal expenses, and they also created a special loss shielding future physicians and nurses from actions who's during these kind of catastrophes. Dr. Powell has her own website countering a book by Sherry Fink called 5 Days in Memorial, where Dr. Fink basically accuses Dr. Powell of being a bad person. There's an excellent movie on Apple TV about this case of 5 Days in Memorial. You can obviously argue it both ways. Good people will see it both ways. But I personally think that in extraordinary circumstances, you need extraordinary ethics. I don't know if you agree with me. If you do, share it. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you again next Tuesday at 4 p.m.